Okay, we're back again. Let me just put the title back up there. So I've fired up Visual Studio Code, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to file and then say open folder. And in this particular case, I have a maybe I don't. Where did I put it? I have a directory somewhere here called CSC 2274, and it's going to be week 1. Okay, so there it is. And I've already pre-populated this with 3 files. Remember, what we're doing in this class is client-side web development in JavaScript, but we also need, there are 3 parts. There's HTML, there's CSS, and there's JS. Hypertext markup language, cascading style sheets or cascaded style sheets, and JavaScript. And you'll see here I've got those 3 files: example.html, example.css, and example.js. Let's have a look at the example.html. Let me just make that a little bigger, maybe. There we go. So you can see I've already done some stuff. I've added the doc type, I've added the HTML tag, opening tag with a lang parameter. I speak English and this page is going to be in English, so we've got that. I'm not going to, where to go? I'm not going to go into detail, but I've commented out the pieces that of HTML that pull in the JavaScript and pull in the style sheet. I'll talk about those briefly shortly. And notice I've now used the ID attribute on some of these to identify the header and the title within the header. I've used an anchor with an href to take me to Blackboard, and you can see it says a link to Blackboard. And I've got a paragraph using the class. You'll notice there's 2 pieces of, there's 2 things labeled class. Class is an attribute that allows you to group like things. So if the same style needs to be applied to lots of different things within your HTML file, you can say, okay, this thing has class, the same class as this other thing. In this case, I want to make that text bigger, so change the font size, and we'll do that. Now, what I can do is I can actually load this file up. I've loaded it up here, right? And that's what it looks like straight out of the box. I'll just zoom in a bit so we can see it a bit better. And now you can see the H1 heading. Which way? It's that way. The H1 heading. You can see the link is underlined, and if I click on the link, it takes me to Blackboard, right? And then there's the text as well. Now I can do something a little different, right? Let me just reset the zoom. I can bring in the style sheet, the CSS. Let's have a look at the style sheet, right? The style sheet says for the thing with ID title, that's what that hashtag title says, set the font size to 20 pixels. And for the class bigger, set the font size to 100 pixels. So I probably didn't save the file. I need to save the example file. So let's save that file. That's what that white symbol means, right? That white circle. If that means I hadn't saved it. So I'm just going to go there, make sure I've saved it, and then I'm going to redo this. And now you can see that things have changed, right? The text that I said was class bigger is much bigger, and the text that I said was the title is small. Let's just go back and change that. Let's make the font size here 100 pixels, and let's make the font size there 50 pixels. That's probably a little closer to what we want. Okay, the other file that's getting pulled in, provided I uncomment it, is the JavaScript file. Right? Now I'm pulling in the JavaScript file, and I'll refresh, and you'll notice that now there's a pop-up, right? And it says, it gives the date and time. It says September 3rd, 2023, 14, so 11 minutes and 45 seconds past 2 in the afternoon. Let's have a look at the JavaScript file and see what did that. Right? It's an alert, which is that pop-up. And it says it's going to display the last modified field on the document. So you'll notice that it doesn't change, right? Because I haven't saved the document again. If I go back to the HTML file, and may just put some, make a small change. I just put some white space in. Now you'll notice that the time has changed because I've modified the file. You can actually use that JavaScript. What you can do is, I have a bookmark called date, right? And if you put in to that bookmark, and it's a bit hard to read there, let me put that in one of these where we can see it perhaps. If you put JavaScript : alert open parenthesis document dot last modified close parenthesis, that will give you a bookmark that allows you to show the date of the file or the web page, right? That's going to show me the same thing. Now, most web pages these days are dynamically generated. They're not just static files like our example is. So this particular page, for example, the textbook, will show, oh, maybe it is. This is, it's actually showing that it was generated on the 12th of April this year. So maybe it's not static, it's a static web page. I honestly thought it would be a dynamic page. It's interesting. So anyway, that's the 3 files, the HTML file, the CSS file, and the JavaScript file. You'll notice the JavaScript file is just a program. It's a one-statement program. So if that is the way the JavaScript is, as soon as it gets loaded into the browser, it's going to get executed. Most JavaScript is more about definitions of functions and doing stuff when the user interacts with the browser by pressing buttons or moving their mouse. But it's perfectly possible to run a program directly, the JavaScript part of the web page is loaded. Okay, I hope that's useful. Let me know if it's not, or if there's more you want to see. Please post in the discussion forums in Blackboard. That would be good.